Today, I'm going to give you the two emails that have made my company millions of dollars over the years. And I'm going to give them to you to swipe word for word so you can send them to your list this week. I'm Russ Ruffino. This channel is about how I built an AI powered $100 million coaching company that fits in a backpack and what I learned scaling our business past $1 million a month. I love my wife. I love my life. And hopefully, you can learn something from all this. But of course, your results depend totally on you. And as always, we're going to look at this problem from two perspectives. I'm going to give you the tactical how to piece, including the exact emails to send. But I'm also going to show you how to tackle this problem from a spiritual or mindset perspective so that you are leveling up as a human being while you work on your business. Cool? All right, let's dive in. So that brings us to the first thing, which is the foundation under everything else in this video. And that is to mail your list every day. Every day. Yes, really. Maybe even twice a day. So most coaches and experts treat their email list like a fire extinguisher, right? Break the glass in case of a fire. So you get in a position where you need cash, and now all of a sudden you want to mail your list. You go quiet for 2 months, then you show up asking for money, and then you go quiet again, right? And then you wonder why nobody opens your emails. So your list is a relationship, right? And relationships run on consistency and reciprocity. So the experts who make real money from their list are the ones whose names show up in the inbox every single day, giving value, telling stories, and then occasionally making offers so that when it's time to buy, there's only one name that's at the top of their list. Okay. So if you're not mailing your list, start and start with the two emails I'm about to give you. But hold up, because before you blast your entire contact database, take a pause for a second. There's a piece of this that not everybody tells you. And if you get it wrong, it's going to wreck your email deliverability for months. And I know because it happened to me. And so the rule that I'm going to give you is this: do not mail your entire list, like ever. Okay. Maybe you can get away with it once every 6 months if you really have something important that you want to blast out. But most of the time, you should be emailing your engagers. Okay. So those are the people that have opened an email or clicked an email or replied to an email or whatever in the last like 90 to 120 days. So here's why: the email companies, Google, Microsoft, like Yahoo, whatever, they're always watching how people respond to your emails. So when you send an email and nobody opens it, they read that as, okay, this sender is sending stuff that nobody wants. And then they start quietly routing you to the spam folder, or God forbid, that goddamn promotions folder. And they start doing that for everybody, including the people who love you and who want to see your stuff. So the kind of counterintuitive thing you need to do is you need to mail a smaller list, but mail it more often. So let me give you like my real numbers, right? We have probably well over 1 million contacts in our database because we've been doing this for 13 years. But how many of them do we actually email? Maybe 30, 40, 50,000. That's it. Or maybe if we want to go bigger, 100,000. So that's that 90 to 120 day segment of people that have engaged. All right. So the discipline of doing that, that's why our stuff gets in the inbox instead of in spam folder. Okay. So you're probably thinking, okay, Russ, cool. I'm going to email my list. What the hell do I send them every day? So I'm going to do a whole video on this, but like simple principles. All right. One email, one idea. Don't write a whole newsletter. Write a note from you to somebody that you really care about, right? So imagine you're writing to one person. Keep it casual. And then you never have to wonder what to say because your clients are going to hand you material every single week. Every time you do a Q&A call, every time you do a session with your clients, pay attention to the questions that they're asking you. That's an email, right? Every mistake that you see everyone in your market making, that's an email. The little win one of your clients had, that thing that you wish that every prospect understood, that belief that you had to destroy before somebody could get results. That's an email. That's an email. That's an email. Okay. Teach something, tell a quick story, or, occasionally just make a straight up offer. So rotate those things and you're never going to run dry. And every email, every single one should end with somewhere to go. So you can ask them to book a call, or you could send them to your YouTube channel or to your podcast, grab this resource. You want your audience to engage more deeply with your stuff across a wider variety of channels, not just email. So send them from email to your YouTube, send them from email to Instagram, right? All that stuff. If you do that consistently, your list is going to stay warm and your deliverability is going to stay healthy, and email can become one of the most profitable channels you own. but maybe you haven't been doing that, right? Maybe it's been a while since you mailed, or it's been a while since they really responded to your stuff. You've been emailing them, but you just need some booked appointments. You need some booked appointments now, not in 90 days after you've rebuilt your habit and your email deliverability, right? So good news, that's exactly what these next two emails are for. So that brings me to the second thing, which is if your list is not active and if you want to generate some appointments, you can use what I call the I'm sorry email, right? I'm going to walk you through it right now. Here's the email. The subject line is two words. I'm sorry. That's it. And the moment it lands, people open it because we never get an email from a business that says, I'm sorry. We usually never get an email from anybody that says, I'm sorry. Doesn't look like marketing because it isn't. It's a human being saying something true. So here's how it works. If you've been quiet, you apologize for going quiet. You tell them you had your head down, you've been hard at work, you've been getting amazing results for people, and that's the reason they haven't heard from you. So let's say you've got a marriage coaching offer, right? Your email might go something like this, right? Again, the subject line is I'm sorry. I owe you an apology. At some point, you raised your hand to hear from me about saving your marriage, and then I went quiet on you. And the truth is, I've been completely heads down working with my clients and getting them some amazing outcomes. And then you want to stack like three quick results. Dave and Karen, blah, 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 blah. Mitch and Angela, they stopped fighting and their whole marriage has turned around, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then you say, this past year, I've been inside more struggling marriages than any year of my career. And what I've learned in those rooms has changed the way that I do this work. But somewhere in all of that, I stopped showing up for the people I should have been showing up for, people like you. So here's what I'm going to do about it. This month, I'm taking on 10 new couples who want to save their marriage in the next 8 weeks without spending even 1 minute in marriage counseling. So if things are still hard at home, hit reply and just tell me what's been going on. Do you hear how human that is? Right? Now let's do another example. Let's say you run an ad agency, right? It's the same basic framework, okay? Again, subject line is I'm sorry. I owe you an apology. You joined my list to hear how to get more clients, and then I disappeared. And here's the honest reason. We've been buried. We took on a wave of new accounts this spring, and I've been in the trenches building campaigns instead of writing email. Now, the good news is those clients are crushing it. And then stack some case studies, like I told you, right? And then you say, but look, I realized I went dark on the exact people I started this list for, i.e., you. So here's what I'm doing about it. I'm opening up 5 spots this month for service businesses that want a full calendar in the next 90 days, even if you've tried ads before and they flopped. If that's you, just reply to this email and let's talk. Does that make sense? So the bones, the structure of those emails are the same. So again, you apologize that you haven't been in touch. You tell them that the reason, though, that you've been out of touch is you're getting such ridiculous results for your clients. And then you quickly stack like 2 or 3 really solid case studies that share some of those results. Now, again, you want to do that in a compliant way. Don't share a bunch of financial information or any of that stuff, but just like make it clear that some really cool stuff is happening to your clients inside your program. And then you say, I'm going to make it up to you. And you open up the opportunity to do something new and you ask them to reply to the email. Or if you want to, you don't even need to ask them to reply. You just send them like straight to a booking link or calendar if you have one, if they want to talk to you. Honestly, I've done it both ways. But what that does is it turns a broadcast into a conversation. And then the conversation can become an appointment. Okay. So why does this email make so much money? Well, the first reason is that it gets freaking opened, right? And it's you telling the truth. Now you might be thinking, okay, great, Russ, that sounds cool. But how do I write an email like this for my offer, right? Like what you just rattled off, that was great. How do I do this for me? And I got you covered. So I built you an AI prompt that is going to write this exact email for your offer. It's totally free. Click the link in the description of this video and you can go ahead and it'll take you to a page where you can grab it. All right. Again, it's free. I put it together just for you. Okay. Now, more on that in a minute because this prompt actually also writes the next email I'm going to share with you too. So it's going to write this one and it's going to write the next one. Okay. So here's the second email. We call this one the IMI email. And this is the one that really does the selling. So IMI stands for immediate money immediately. And that's what we've called it internally at Clients on Demand for years, because that's what it does for us, like every time we send it out. And the reason it works is that it's built completely backwards from how everybody else sends email. So the email itself is tiny. It's a subject line with one word, hey, all lowercase. And the body is just 3 sentences, right? Something like this. Hey, there's something I wanted to send you. I wanted to mail it to you, but I don't have your home address. So I put it in a Google Doc instead. Take a look here. And then a link to the Google Doc. Okay, that's it. That's the whole email. Now, to be very fair, I did not invent this. I learned this from the great Frank Kern, who was an absolute marketing legend. Every time I've sent this email, it has just crushed it. I mean, literally every single time. So if you use this and you ever see Frank, you ever run into him, give him a quick shout, tell him it was helpful, okay? Now, I know you're like, okay, well, how does that work? You're saying, I was going to mail you this, but I don't have your address. So I put it online as a Google Doc, and that's it. The genius of this is that the email is not where you sell, right? The email has just one job, and that's to get the click. So if you send people some big, like over-engineered, salesy email, it screams, hey, this is a marketing campaign, and people just delete marketing campaigns. But 3 very casual lines from a real person, that's going to get open and that's going to get clicked. And it creates a lot of curiosity too, right? I wanted to mail this to you, but I didn't have your address. Oh, that's weird. Okay. That frames what's coming as like a personal letter and not a promotion. And then all the selling itself happens in the Google Doc that the link is pointing to. And the Google Doc is where most people screw this up. Okay, so let me walk you through exactly what goes into it. The Google Doc is literally a good old fashioned, very personalized sales letter. And let me just like read you one. Okay. So again, we used the example of a marriage coach before. So let's just like roll with that. Okay. Um, this doc would be something like this. Okay. Here's what it looks like. Okay. At the top, you have a big headline: how to save your marriage in the next 8 weeks, even if your wife is completely checked out, or even if your husband is completely checked out. And then under that is personalized, from the desk of Sarah Jones, Austin, Texas. Okay. And then it starts out, dear friend, right? And again, it reads like a letter because it is a letter. So here's how we open it, right? Not with an offer, but with a little bit of proof. For the last 15 years, I've had one job: sitting in the room with marriages that everyone else had given up on. I've worked with over 1,000 couples, couples who hadn't slept in the same bedroom in a year, couples who'd already called the lawyers, and I've watched hundreds of these marriages come all the way back. I'm not going to pretend every marriage can be saved, but I can tell you that most of the ones that end didn't have to. Okay, you see the psychology there. So before we're asking for anything, before we're offering anything, we're giving them hope and we're showing that we're the real thing. And then comes my favorite section. Right now, you're probably stuck in one of 3 places. And then you're going to describe the 3 biggest problems that your audience is wrestling with. Okay, so right now, you're probably stuck in one of 3 places. Number one, you're fighting about the same thing over and over. Doesn't matter how the conversation starts: the dishes, the kids, his mother. It always becomes the same fight, and you're both exhausted. 2, you're not fighting at all. You're roommates, polite, quiet, separate lives under one roof. The silence scares you more than the fighting ever did. Or 3, one of you has a foot out the door, right? The word separation has come up, maybe a lawyer's come up, and you're lying awake doing the math on what happens with the kids. Whichever one it is, I can help. You see how powerful that is? We are describing our audience's problem better than they can. And when we do that, they automatically assume that we know the answer. And we're casting a wide net too by bringing up 3 separate situations that our audience statistically is probably in. And it's written so specifically that the right person reading it goes, that's me, right? That's what we want, is that reaction. That's me. And then we show them the light at the end of the tunnel. Here's how I'd like to help you for free. I've set aside some time this month for a handful of private calls, and here's how they work. We're going to get on the phone. You're going to tell me what's happening in your marriage, and I'm going to tell you straight what I think is going on underneath it and what I think you should do next. And you're going to leave that call with more clarity than you've had in months, whether we ever work together or not. And then the section that sometimes people are too scared to write: this is not for everyone. I work with people who, somewhere underneath all the hurt, still love their spouse and who are willing to do the work starting now. If there's abuse in your house, this is not the right program, and I'll point you to people who can help. And if you've already decided it's over and you're looking for somebody to give you permission to leave, that's not me either. So in other words, you just say, here's who it's for and here's who it's not for, okay? And that one section flips the whole frame from chasing to choosing, because you're really gonna have standards for who you wanna work with and who you don't. and then you tell them what to do next. Here's what I want you to do next. Click the link under this, click the, almost like click the link under this video because I'm so used to saying that, right? Click the link below, answer a few short questions about your situation, grab a time on the calendar. I'm taking 10 couples this month. And when those spots are filled, they're filled. All the best, your name, right? One link, one next step, not 5 different choices, 5 different buttons, one thing to do. And the scarcity has to be real. If you say you're going to take 10 couples, you're taking 10 couples. That's it. That's the only kind of scarcity that you're ever allowed to use is real scarcity, right? Because all that fake urgency is just nonsense. And that's the whole letter. So the headline, the proof, you're probably stuck here or here or here. And here's what we're going to do about it. Here's who it's for. Here's who it's not for. And here's the next step. I mean, it's maybe a few hundred words. That's it. But every section is doing the job. It's incredibly efficient. So that's the kind of like the 1-2 punch, right? The I'm sorry email reconnects and teases and kind of starts a conversation. The I am I email pays off that tease and like walks them into a letter that sells. Okay. So it's 2 emails, a Google Doc, and that's it. And your calendar really should start filling up. And before you think to yourself, hey, that's a lot to write, which I get it, it isn't because you're not writing it. All right. So again, we got a free AI prompt under this video, and it's going to write these emails for you, customized to your offer. So just click the link in the description of this video and get your hands on that now. All right, let's put this together, right? So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna email your list every day if you haven't been, right? But not your whole list, only your engaged people, the 90-day to 120-day openers and clickers, right? So it's a smaller list, but you're gonna mail them every day, maybe even twice a day, right? One email, one idea, and then send them to some kind of resource, a YouTube video, podcast, whatever, okay? Number 2, the big one, send the I'm sorry email. Blast that out, let it do the work. Number 3, send the I am I email right after that, right? Subject line is, hey, it's 3 sentences. I wanted to send you this, but I don't have your address. I put it online. Check this out. And then you put everything there in the Google Doc with the headline, the proof, the 3 points, who it's for, who it's not for, and what to do next. Okay. And again, you got this AI prompt. Click the link in the description of this video. It's going to write the entire thing for you. And it's also going to give you another letter that I haven't told you about, which is called the 9-word email. And that's going to do some incredible things to reactivate your list if it's gone like completely cold. I'm going to do another video on that. That's coming out in a few days. All right. But either way, grab the pack now at the link under the video. I'll send you some of that stuff right away, and then you'll be ahead of the game when the next video drops. All right. Now, the most important piece of this whole video, here is your spiritual North Star as you solve this problem. Okay. And again, the reason we do this is because if you're not evolving and growing as a human being while you grow your business, you are wasting your time. All right. So here's what I really want you to get. The reason that you're not emailing your list has nothing to do with email. Let me tell you about my 20s. All right. I wanted to be an actor and I was serious about it. I went to a high school for performing arts. I went to UCLA School of Theater. And then I was in LA. I was studying at some of the top acting studios in town. So I did all the actor stuff, scene study class every week, went to plays, read plays, took on camera classes, networked with other actors, talked about acting, thought about acting like constantly. I did everything an actor is supposed to do, except the one thing that can actually get you the part. And that's like going on an audition, right? So, where you walk into a room and you put your work in front of someone and they can look at you and they can tell you, you suck, get the hell out of here. I avoided that part. And I had great reasons, by the way. I wasn't ready. I needed one more class. I needed, better headshots. All of it sounded responsible. All of it kind of made sense, but all of it was hiding because I didn't want to hear the word no. And you not emailing your list is the exact same thing. So if you're saying, Russ, I don't know what to say, that's a hiding place. And what's underneath it is this. If you email your list and you make an offer, somebody might say no. Or worse, nobody says anything at all. Or worse, somebody writes you back and tells you that you suck. Okay? That's going to happen 100% guaranteed. And as long as you never send the email, you never have to find out. So you staying quiet is just protecting yourself from getting hurt. That's all this is. So it's not a content problem. It's not an idea problem. It's not a strategy problem. It's just plain old fear of rejection. And guess what? You're going to get rejected a lot, right? So let's say you're doing sales calls and even the best closers in the world consistently close 30 to 40%, right? So that means they're hearing the word no 60 to 70% of the time. At my company, we've done over 100,000 sales calls, and I bet we've heard the word no 50,000 times, 60,000 times. But it's worth it to go through all that rejection because it's the ones that say yes that build your business. So there's this guy, Stephen Pressfield. He wrote this great book that you should read. It's called The War of Art. And there's one line in that book that I really love. The more important a call or action is to our soul's evolution, the more resistance we're going to feel toward pursuing it. So, in other words, that thing that you keep avoiding, whether that's making a webinar or building a funnel, sending an email, rolling out an offer, that avoidance itself, that's the tell that you're doing something that could change your life, right? We don't resist things that don't matter. So here's the practice this week. Here's the homework. It's not complicated. Send the freaking emails. Maybe people buy, maybe they don't. Maybe somebody unsubscribes. I promise you'll live, but you don't get to find out what your list is worth or what you're worth from the sidelines. So I never made it as an actor, and I can tell you exactly why. I never really got in the game. And that's okay because I made $100 million not acting, but still, if I had the guts, who knows what could have happened, right? And I have the guts now. And that's why I have a 9-figure business. Because when I totally crashed and burned as an actor because of my fear, I swore to myself I would never do that again. And you should have the guts too, because there's people out there that need you. There's people on your list who are waiting to get that email so they can hire you so you can change their lives. And honestly, who the hell are you to let them down? So send the freaking emails. That's your homework. And by the way, if you are a coach or expert, I want to help you. I want to turn your expertise into a $5,000 to $15,000 coaching program that you can run from anywhere in the world. And then I want to install a $100 million client attraction system to bring you the perfect clients at the perfect price anytime you want. It's the same system we use. I want to plug it right into your business. So if you want to know more about what that looks like, just click the link in the description of the video. It'll take you to another video where I will break down the whole thing for you. And finally, we put out videos like this once or twice a week. So drop a comment. What's the biggest challenge you're facing right now when it comes to emailing your list? And look, maybe I'll just make a video that tackles it and solves that problem for you. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.